Hey guys, how's it going? This is flamejocky from Team Old King Louie, and I'm here to give you guys just a short little uh, recap on YCS Columbus and why this is such a significant and interesting result from a tournament. But this also reflects my opinion on the game by a lot. So I think this is a very special recap for me because this reflects my personal opinion on the game that I've always kind of had a problem with the game. Of course, congratulations to Billy Brake for winning first place back to back at a YCS, which is very incredible. You don't, not very often do you see people winning back to backs when the game itself is so sporadic and changes so quickly. It's very difficult to hold a steady lead in this game, unlike things such as Magic, where a player that is really good at the game can adapt to the meta as well, but at the same time, I mean, it also comes down to how well thought of your deck is and how well you play it, which is the same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh. But the thing about Yu-Gi-Oh is there are a lot of cards in the game that really help you do that, and a lot of the time it kind of gets rid of the whole originality factor of the game. Of course, I'm talking about Tour Guide. Tour Guide to me at the moment is basically the giant wallet eating thorn on the side of the game at the moment. Uh, it's a broken TCG card. It's a secret rare. It says when this card is normal summon, special summon the level 3 fiend type monster from hand or deck. Effects negated, blah blah blah. You guys know the card because it's such a prominent card in the format. It's a TCG exclusive, which is what really hits me on the wrong nerve here. My biggest complaint a lot of the time about the game is the fact that Konami only has one ban list when they fully realize that they're giving us exclusives that bend our meta in half and don't affect their meta at all. Uh, because of this, Tour Guide is a card that we're going to be seeing three of for a very long time, at least a year to a year and a half before they even consider touching it with the ban list. Uh, the same goes for Tengu, but I doubt they'll hit Tengu because Tengu is a needed three of. If it were two or less, the card would not matter. If they wanted to kill Tengu, they could put it to two if they wanted to. However, Tour Guide to me is a much bigger threat in the game at the moment. I mean, Tengu is a good card and it keeps decks running and stuff, but Tour Guide is just running 3 Tour Guide and a Sangan almost guarantees your deck is going to be completely viable. It really doesn't matter what kind of build you run. Tour Guide just kind of works independently from the build, and either way, usually it's helping your deck out. Whether it be Chaos or Destiny Heroes or even at the moment Dark World. I mean, it's a great card. I even saw a Nordic deck profile at the previous YCS that ran 3 Tour Guide and hit top 32 because of it, because it's such a good card with that deck as well. Not to mention in the next format, Rescue Rabbit, which you guys know what it does: normal summon, special summon 2 level 4 or lower normal monsters from the deck. Banish Rescue Rabbit. It's a great card because it works so well with Tour Guide. Going into a turn 2 Leviair after the Rescue Rabbit, bringing back Rescue Rabbit, wash, rinse, repeat the process. I mean, that's just straight up broken. It's an amazing card for this format. It's an amazing card for next format, which is why it's easily going to be hitting $200 or above, which is not, I wouldn't say like extremely rare for a card to hit that level of expense. It was really only a matter of time until there would be a card once again in the game that would hit a price that is the same price or higher than Pot of Duality. However, Pot of Duality was recently reprinted to make it a $10 card and plummeting the price by a landfall, which is probably the exact same thing that's going to happen to Tour Guide from the Underworld. The game is lulling people into thinking that the game is cheap. However, the game is not cheap because this is the most prominent card in the format, and this card is easily going to hit $200. Now, for my opinion on the game that reflects this is special because Konami is notorious, in my opinion, for coming out with a format that is good and that is even and that is fair and that is a lot of fun for everybody. And then the next set comes out and they introduce a card that is so broken everybody's going to run it, and it doesn't leave any room for creativity in the game at all. Honestly, I think that Yu-Gi-Oh is not a game of creativity. It is a fun game. It's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. It's a great game, and I love playing it. And I'm probably never going to get out of it. However, I'm probably not going to play it as often because of this reason right here. If I had Tour Guide from Underworlds, I would probably run it, and I would probably win a lot, which is fine. But at this point, to everybody that's running that is planning to buy tour guides, I would suggest not buying tour guides. Honestly, I mean, it's not worth the money unless you're trying to win a YCS or something. But I mean, like if you want to win a YCS, you should have already known that this card was going to be broken and gone after it already before when it was hitting $20 or $5. You should have already known that. But at this point, I wouldn't buy a tour guide from Underworld. I would rather invest my money on an anti-meta deck, which is something that's going to be also very prominent in the next format, because Dark Worlds did not even really hit top 32, I believe, does not mean they're out. You can't deny the fact that they won a YCS previous down at, I believe it was YCS Ohio. They won that YCS. I had heard from 3Z Inferno, aka Wilson Chang, that mainly the reason as to why people had not run Dark Worlds in this current YCS was because that nobody wanted to run mirror matches, and everybody was getting ready to decide it, but nobody wanted to main it. Nobody wanted to run the deck because you don't even have to see a mirror match. You only have to think of a Dark World mirror match and know how weird and wonky and boring that kind of mirror match would be, and nobody would want it, just because it's a very difficult and hard to play mirror match, because both of you are going to be running things that run off the discard, and that's going to put a damper on both of you, because both players are going to be popping each other's cards, both players are going to be specialing things, and they would honestly just hit a wall, and it wouldn't be a great situation to be in, so nobody was running it. That's why it didn't make a move on this YCS. However, another reason as to why it didn't happen was because people who probably were running it didn't have a very smart deck profile. Honestly, that's pretty common. The deck had so much hype to it that people just kind of bought the deck, put it together, and then thought they had a great deck on their hands. However, a great deck that wins things takes a bit more thought than that. Not necessarily in completely originally redoing the deck, but in your choice of techs, of tech cards, and your choice of small sides here and there, or your choice of like what's a better main than certain other cards, is what affects how well the deck runs. Anyway, yeah. So as you guys can see, there were like 20 plant synchro decks that ran 3 tour guide. In my journey of attempting to run a plant deck in this current format, I had tried to avoid running tour guides as much as possible. However, I failed in running a deck that is competitive enough to compete with this kind of thing. Time and time again, I'd be presented with that I probably needed to run 3 tour guide, which I completely refused to. As much as I love playing plants, I would never spend that kind of money for a card that is probably going to go down in price at one point, and that honestly it really isn't necessary to run a card like that. And you could always run things like anti-metas, or I mean even things like Nordics. At the moment I run Nordics, and it's actually been doing me quite well. I think it's a pretty decent deck, and I like it. You could run Karakuris if you want to. Karakuris are good. I mean, I had called it that Karakuris were going to make some sort of move on YCS, now that there's so much back row hate nowadays, and the fact that duality is cheaper, it becomes a more viable card, and people are more confident in running a deck that needs Pot of Duality. So yeah, I mean that did really well. You could run that. Agents are still really viable, and I've seen decks that don't run tour guides, and they run very well. So you don't really need to run that. Yeah, and really anything anti-meta is really good this format. It's not really necessary to run anything of this sort in the format. It's just everybody runs it because it's such an obviously broken card. And that's probably my biggest complaint with the game. Not to say that doesn't happen in other games. However, this game, in my opinion, has the most prominent that carries the problem the most prominently out of all the games. You know, whether it be Magic or even World of Warcraft or Pokemon, this game is the game that carries the biggest game breakers. So anyway, yeah, that's my short opinion on the game. Yeah, but my prediction would be don't count Dark Worlds out. They're still really good. They won a YCS for a reason. There's going to be that. Of course, the deck is not going to be as popular anymore because everybody likes to bandwagon. You know, it doesn't matter what card game it is. Everybody will bandwagon on a deck, and everybody will hate on a deck just because everyone else is hating on the deck. But honestly, now is almost a better time than ever to run Dark Worlds because they're still broken, and not as many people are going to side against them. And you could just friggin' make people bend over and just beat them senseless for the rest of the game with Dark Worlds because it's still a great deck. So yeah, watch out for Rescue Rabbit next format. It's going to make this card way more expensive, as I said. I was actually thinking of running Rescue Rabbit build until I realized you need a card like this in order to get the deck really, really moving. So that was out. If you want my opinion on what I'm going to be running currently next format, I'm either going to be between Gravekeepers, which is still really good because Wonder Wand is a great card that keeps the deck in pace. Everybody was thinking now Gravekeepers are probably too slow for the format. However, Wonder Wand would beg to suffice. I mean, would beg to differ. Gravekeepers are still in it, and they're still good. Of course, Machina Gadgets are still in it as well. I'm thinking I might run Machina Gadgets. I don't know yet. Mainly because it's just a great deck. It's been great in most formats, along with Gladiator Beast, which I'm opting to not run that this format. They looked like a lot of fun, but I'm still kind of doubting on Gladiator Beasts, despite the fact that it did in fact get top 32 on this YCS. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and please keep in mind that this is not anyone's opinion but mine. My friend Miles does not share the same opinion as me. This is just my personal opinion. This does not affect the integrity of the channel itself or the opinion of the channel itself. This is just my personal take on the game at the moment. I'm not trying to hate on Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not trying to bash Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm just stating my honest opinion. And if you guys agree, good. If you guys disagree, that's cool. Keep playing, have fun. I know I'm having fun, despite the fact that the game is in this state. So I hope you guys subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoyed the video once again. And this is Flamejocky. I'll see you guys next time.